Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV series, their new Star Wars movies, etc. that's really going to make this new Star Wars universe pretty much whole by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that yes, we do know that they are trying their absolute best to really get out of this phase of desperation and damage control, and that both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are desperately working together as a team, with, of course, George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni by their side, in order to really make things right with the Star Wars fans around the world. That's ultimately what they want to do, is that they really want to make Star Wars back to the way it used to be before 2012, as I like to call it, before the Kathleen Kennedy era. You know, you had this time of Star Wars between when George Lucas fixed, or should I say, finished the prequel trilogy, and of course, where there's a time in which George Lucas thought he was fixing Star Wars by handing it over to Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. Now, beyond all of this, we do know that, of course, George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni are really trying their absolute best to deliver as much authentic Star Wars material as possible. However, when we examine the sequel trilogy, there is no doubt about it that it had a very shaky production in the background. This is absolutely confirmed. We do know that there were a lot of scenes that were mishandled by Kathleen Kennedy, that there was a lot of back and forth when it came to the ending of the film. Even Daisy Ridley talked about this, of how they went through so many different endings of the movie that there was a time in which they didn't even really know exactly which ending was going to be a part of the final cut. And not just that, they weren't really all set on exactly who Rey was going to be until last minute. So, everything related to the character of Anakin Skywalker, however, with the Skywalker saga now over, both Disney and Lucasfilm are focused on developing their new Star Wars universe, as well as their new ways to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world. Now, it's explained that both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are doing everything in their power in order to create a better future for the Star Wars franchise, in order to make it just as successful as the MCU. However, it's described that though the sequel trilogy was a mess for Disney and Lucasfilm, because of Kathleen Kennedy and what she did behind the scenes and initiating all those reshoots and rewrites, of course, for the sequel trilogy at the very end, the scenes for actor Hayden Christensen was very furious, alright? Actor Hayden Christensen was very furious with Kathleen Kennedy for firing him and letting him go from the final film of the Skywalker saga, where he was originally working on scenes with George Lucas and J.J. Abrams. Once again, guys, like I say, there were original Anakin Skywalker scenes in the film that actually Kathleen Kennedy was the one responsible for letting go of. Now, Hayden Christensen had actually multiple scenes that he was working on with George and JJ, as well as Chris Terrio, for multiple scenes as Anakin Skywalker, before Kathleen Kennedy decided to fire Christensen for not enjoying his performance as Anakin, and also out of fear that the fans would be reminded of the prequel trilogy movies too much and what George Lucas did to Star Wars back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Now, it's explained further that Hayden Christensen was very angry with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm for not only firing him from the final film of the Skywalker saga, but also for not even allowing his scenes to show up on the Blu-ray version of The Rise of Skywalker. So here's the bigger deal, is that not only did Hayden not get the chance to actually see himself on the big screen and not even get the chance to actually have his scenes in the final cut of the movie, but that Kathleen Kennedy was the one responsible for refusing to even allow Hayden's scenes to show up on the Blu-ray edition of Episode 9. You guys that have the Blu-ray edition of the film may very well realize that there are no deleted scenes on there in a significant sense. That's because Kathleen Kennedy was trying to hide the fact that there were massive reshoots and rewrites that took place in two different phases in order to really create a far different version of the movie than ever before. Now, George, John, and of course, Dave Filoni are all working together to really fix the new Star Wars universe here, because of what Kathleen Kennedy did to Episode 9. Essentially, Kathleen Kennedy just left a major mess for these three creators to really fix. So beyond all of this, when we look at what Anakin Skywalker could have offered in this movie as a character, it only makes you wonder exactly what it could have been like on the big screen. Could you imagine just having Anakin Skywalker's presence in the film? You can imagine the amount of multiple viewings that would have been pretty much up there in numbers. I think that for sure, if Anakin was in there, I would have seen the movie easily 5 times. Just to see Anakin Skywalker in person, in the theater, on the big screen, having that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They could have done it, they could have nailed it, but because of Kathleen Kennedy, you know, this ultimately did not happen. So, Kathleen Kennedy is actually said to have refused to allow Hayden's scenes to appear on the Blu-ray edition of the film in order to cover up the story that Anakin's scenes were indeed shot for the film, and that she did not want to make those scenes public since it would show a far superior version of the movie in comparison to what she put on the big screen with J.J. Abrams. Now, Hayden worked on many scenes during, of course, late 2018 and most of 2019. Before the major reshoots took place for the film, Hayden Christensen at one point in time met up with previous Disney CEO Bob Iger to discuss his concerns with the movie of Kathleen Kennedy not allowing his scenes to appear on the Blu-ray edition of the film, and that now this is a mission that Bob Chapek is on in order to redeem Hayden's role as Anakin Skywalker by creating the 4-hour cut of The Rise of Skywalker for Disney+. So, like we've been talking about for a number of months now, is that Disney is on a mission now in order to really give the fans a 4-hour cut of The Rise of Skywalker. Essentially, this new cut of the film is going to involve numerous deleted scenes that never made it to the final cut of the movie, including scenes with Anakin Skywalker, the other Force ghosts, more to do with Palpatine as well, and Ben Solo / Rey, you name it. This movie had so much to offer of what JJ could have done if it weren't for Kathleen Kennedy really interrupting in the process. Now, on top of this, further, alright, it's noted that Hayden Christensen even got into deep conversations with J.J. Abrams in order to convince Kathleen Kennedy to keep those scenes in the film, and that J.J. Abrams did everything he could to convince Kathleen Kennedy with no success. One of Hayden's scenes as Anakin Skywalker was used in a cheap way by Disney by stripping audio of Hayden talking to Rey in a Jedi temple, where the audio from one of Hayden's scenes was used for when Rey hears the Force ghosts of the past reaching out to her in the Sith Eternal. Now, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker was originally planned to have some form of a connection to the meaning of The Rise of Skywalker's title before Kathleen Kennedy decided and wanted to make it strictly for Rey in the final Skywalker saga movie. Hayden is said to have been furious with Disney Star Wars and how they actually handled the sequel trilogy movies and more, and how they ignored the fans in general, including himself. Once again, I'm really happy now that Hayden is getting a second chance. Hayden is going to be a part of the Kenobi TV series. Keep in mind, he will be coming back as Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader in very surprising ways, as well as other Star Wars projects out there currently in the works. So that's one thing to be excited about. The one thing that a lot of fans should feel sorry for, if anything, is Hayden Christensen, after all these years, since 2005, really having a spiraling career in acting, right? He had some roles after Revenge of the Sith, and then eventually he was getting less and less roles until he finally threw in the towel and just quit. You know, he got a farm and he called it a day. That was it for Hayden. However, he was given this opportunity, and the opportunity was essentially stripped away. It was really like giving candy to a baby and then taking it away. That's what it was like. It was very unfair. I don't know what Kathleen Kennedy was thinking, and I don't even know why. Honestly, Hayden is back. If I were Hayden, I don't even know if I would want to come back to work on, you know, Disney Star Wars after I would be treated so badly like that. But at the same exact time, I'm very happy that he is going to be involved with the Kenobi TV series. I'm very happy that he has other roles within the Star Wars universe that's actually being heavily worked on as we speak, and it's going to be quite an experience to say the least. So with that being said, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
We hear them once again.